we find that same principle. We present that and teach that principle in sacred geometry, the scale invariant nature of these patterns. Well, in the archaic mind, the cyclical repetitions were also scale invariant, so that there were cycles within cycles. Ezekiel's metaphor of wheels within wheels, I think, is applicable here. But so we have a daily cycle, we have an annual cycle, but in the archaic mind, there were greater cycles. And these greater cycles and the understanding of these greater cycles was the basis of prophecy. You see, imagine this, Russ, that you were living with a tribe of people, and for whatever reason, something happened. Let's say that it's early spring, or let's say it's summer. Something happens, the water gets contaminated, everybody drinks it, and their memories are erased, except for you, for whatever reason. So now it's summertime and the days go by, and, just like when you're young, time seems extended compared to as you get older, it seems to contract, right? So you're young in mind because you don't remember anything that preceded it, right? And so now each day goes by, and 1 week goes by, and each day is pretty much like the previous day. Another week goes by, each day is pretty much like the previous day. After a month of this, you're pretty much convinced, hey, this is the way it is. It ain't going to change because this is the way it is. But you, Russ, because your memory extends back, you go, wait a second, this is going to change. And this nice, warm, balmy weather that we're enjoying here, it's going to change. It's going to get cold, right? In fact, it's even going to go below freezing, and snow is going to fall. And, 4 months, 5, 6 months from now, it's going to be a completely different world than now.
And
right?
The rest of the people are like, burn him at the stake.
That's what I was going to say. They'd
get out of here. Get out of here. But see, Russ, what it is you're the prophet now. See, because you understand, you're simply looking at things from a larger perspective. And really, that's all that differentiates you from everyone else, because everyone else is suffering from a form of amnesia. And you're understanding that there are these larger cycles. So that's what essentially makes you a prophet. If you go into to look at the Old Testament prophets and start reading them, well, what you see is, what are they prophesizing? They're prophesizing, whether it's Ezekiel or Isaiah, or even in the New Testament, St. John and Revelations, they're prophesizing about these larger cosmic changes that are part of the system. That's what they're doing, at least in my opinion, and as a result of my studies of it. But getting back to the dodecahedron, we've got 6,480, and we found out that was 1/4 of the precessional cycle. Well, in the conventional concepts, that was the 4 seasons of the great year. And the changing in many of the concepts, the idea was that the changing of the seasons were the periods of vulnerability. In other words, when it's changing from cosmic spring to cosmic summer, from cosmic summer to cosmic fall, from cosmic fall to cosmic winter, in those transition points is where the earth was vulnerable, where nature was vulnerable to these upheavals, these periods of compressed, concentrated, accelerated change. You see, so that's because that belief that somehow that there was actually a global response that was tied into these cycles of change. That's why it was so important, such an important doctrine to preserve through ritual, through symbol, through sacred writings, through the textbook of architecture, to preserve these ideas and concepts of the great year. Because at some point, inevitably, those cycles will come around again. Just like, even though your tribe with amnesia doesn't remember the previous winter, you do. You know that winter is coming sooner or later. And just like within the continuum of transitions, there are points that would be thought of as the key points were the points of discontinuity, if you will. In the smaller scale, look at the annual year. Okay, so there will be there will be a day where it's cooling off, but then a threshold is crossed the day the temperature drops below freezing, right? So each year you don't know, for example, you can't predict the exact day or the exact hour that you'll have the first freeze, right? but you can predict it pretty darn close, usually within a week, usually within a few days, right? By looking at past timing. But that's a threshold because, if we go below freezing, we got to go out and protect the plants tonight. You see, you got to do something different because that's a significant threshold that's being crossed. Now, on the cosmic scale, that threshold may be such that just like, the first freezing, if you don't protect your plants all die and you have to start over again. On the cosmic scale, civilizations die and you have to start over again.